Imagine being told at the age of 9 years old that you would eventually go blind. You would lose your ability to see. You would essentially lose the main sensory aspect of your life. Most people would accept that and eventually go blind. That was the path that was laid out. That was the diagnosis. That was the prognosis. However, this incredible guest that I had the pleasure of interviewing, he took a completely different path. When he got that diagnosis, he went on a journey in his teens when his eyes started to degenerate and he lost his vision. He went on an incredible journey of biohacking, learning about epigenetics, learning about neuroplasticity, and really opening up an entire universe that most people do not know about at all. I am so excited for you to learn more, to hear the story of Victor, the blind biohacker. It is so inspiring, especially if you or someone you know has any sort of degenerative eye issue or vision impairment, or just wants to hear a really empowering story about somebody taking their power back. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to hear how you feel and what you think about this video. Make sure to leave us your comments, any questions you have, share this, subscribe, anything to help get the message out. With so much love, check it out. See you in the video. I am so grateful that I get to see you, Victor, that I get to have this conversation with you. You are somebody that I found when I was scoring the internet, trying to make sense of why I was canceled for sharing about holistic vision, which totally blew my mind. It was something that really caught me off guard. And through my search to see who else was talking about holistic vision and biohacking and different optimization tools, I came across you, the blind biohacker. And just your name and your picture and your profile, I knew, okay, I need to know this person. And so grateful that we got to have a chat. I got to hear your story, which just really inspired me. And I knew that I had to get you on and interview you and bring your story and your wisdom and everything that you're about to our community and ideally to the greater world, because so many people need this message. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, right. Thanks for having me. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, it's great to be here.
So let's just dive right in. Who are you? What is the blind biohacker? Who are you? What is your story? What do you want to share with us?
Right. So the name came from me just kind of toying with how to give myself an online presence. At a young age, I was diagnosed with a genetic degenerative condition called retinitis pigmentosa. Basically, I started getting symptoms around 7 or 8 years old of night blindness. So it was very difficult for me to kind of play outside with kids. I just didn't really understand how they were, functioning and running around, where I would be bumping into trees, tripping over things, etc. Then kind of explained to my parents that, why is it so difficult to see at night? And it was kind of confusing to them because they were like, it's dark. Like, what do you want to see? Like, it's, they didn't really understand that there was a deeper issue. And I think they quickly kind of learned that I had some vision problems. So I ended up going to Sickett's Hospital in Toronto, where they have a big clinic there. And I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa. And as a 9-year-old, hearing that, I didn't even know what it means. I mean, it's pretty much a mouthful to say to begin with. And I was told that there was nothing that could be done about it and that I will eventually go blind. My vision held up pretty well. At 16, I was able to actually get a driver's license. And at 22, I lost my driver's license because my vision was progressing and got worse. So one of the other major symptoms of retinitis pigmentosa is tunnel vision. So I have tunnel vision as well. And again, I was told that not much can be done about it. And I really took that diagnosis and losing my driver's license. It really hit me hard at that age because I was, a younger man seeking independence, had my own car, drove to work. And that diagnosis really hit me and kind of put me in a big, depression state, especially because I was told that not much could be done about it. So I kind of felt quite helpless. And, years went by of, feeling sorry for myself and that whole situation. I think I was also dealing with a lot of like family trauma and depression as a result of, my upbringing. So I think that kind of compounded the situation. And I think I just hit a point in my life where I was on antidepressant medications, in my, post that diagnosis, and nothing was really helping. I talked to doctors, psychologists, etc., and, was put on anti-anxiety medications. Nothing helped. And, fast forward, I ended up coming across this book, actually a couple of books that really changed my life. And one of them was written by Dr. Jacob Lieberman. It was called Take Off Your Glasses and See. I also, at the time, I should add that I was wearing glasses, for central vision. And then from there, after reading this book, it was such an eye opener, explaining that our vision, we see with the brain, not with the eyes. So I was also dealing with some learning difficulties. I didn't do very well in school, so I think it just really taught me that there was a big emotional component to our vision. After reading that book, I sort of used some of the methods from the book and ended up reducing my glasses prescription by, I think, 33% the first time round, which, I didn't really know, but the glasses were giving me headaches that I was given, and I just felt like my brain was being squished through the lenses. So I tried these experiments of just not even using my glasses, and after a couple of days, a week or so, my eyes kind of started to relax, and I felt like I could actually see a lot better. And then I ended up finding a holistic optometrist in the area, and they gave me lenses without the corrective support from the side that's usually given to, the stigmatism correction, which allowed my eyes to move freely and heal, because if the eyes can't move, they can't heal. And the stigmatism corrective aspect of the lenses hold the eyes straight all the time, so they don't get a chance to move and open up. And it was really through that that I began to, believe that, why is it that when we, break our arm, we put a cast on and the body just kind of knows what to do and heals its, but, anything to do with the eyes, it's like, oh, you're screwed. You're just gonna have to wear these glasses forever. You never hear of, oh, these are just gonna be a temporary thing. And like, I don't know why that is. And then just kind of went down the rabbit hole of learning about the Bates method, which came out of about over 100 years ago by Dr. Bates, which is what a lot of that book, Take Off Your Glasses and See by Dr. Jacob Lieberman was about. And it just, got me down this rabbit hole of learning that, my eyes can heal if given the right environment, inner environment, outer environment, quantum environment. So if all these aspects kind of line up, your eyes can heal. It was a big eye opener, figuratively speaking, literally speaking. And, my eyes began to change, my learning began to change. At the same time, I read this other book that came highly recommended by like a few people at the time. It's like, the universe is kind of sending me message of read this book. It was The Brain That Changes Itself by Dr. Norman Doidge. It's all about neuroplasticity, and that was another big game changer for me, because I began to learn that the brain has a lot to do with the eyes. And I know I didn't do very well in school, and there was a story in that book about this woman named Barbara Arrowsmith, who was deemed severely learning disabled, and she ended up figuring out, based on this Russian scientist, I believe, Alexander Luria, that the brain was neuroplastic, and if she gave it the right signals, the brain, she could actually heal these learning disabilities that she had. And one of the learning disabilities that she outlined was this one called narrow visual span. And if you do these peripheral exercises, you can actually expand the peripheral vision. So I actually did attend that school in my 30s and for about 3 years. And through these neuroplastic vision exercises and hand drawing exercises, there's a lot of them that include the eyes, the brain, and it was just phenomenal. It did change the way I learn. It changed the way I interact with people. It changed the way I absorb information. There's like so many different ways that that it made a impact on my life. And I wish I knew about it when I was younger, but I took it when I could. And I'm just, what I'm trying to say with that is it's so important to actually, if you have kids, that you get them checked out for there's a lot of holistic vision clinics popping up now, which again, they time the brain and the eyes to get to work together, and a lot of vision problems can be resolved from that. Also, most optometrists seem to work in this they don't really realize that the eyes can change, so they are always having the eyes fixed with strong lenses. It made me think of this, this quote that I kind of made up. It's like, people don't need their glasses as much as they think they do. So, because a lot of it is unconscious. If you want to go into the unconscious mind, it like runs almost 95% of us and 5% conscious. So if you can kind of make the unconscious conscious, there's a lot that we can do in terms of allowing our vision to be clear. So that's like a summary of where I am now. I mean, I've done a lot since learning about the impact of how light plays a role in the eyes, good light versus bad light, circadian rhythms, red light therapy for anti-inflammatory aspects of vision, color therapy. There's a lot. So that's just kind of a summary on how I got my name. So I got into the health optimization biohacking community in the past 10 years, and just thought it was a cool name. I am technically still legally blind, visually impaired, but from a diagnosis of saying that I was going to be going completely blind by the time I was 30, that didn't happen. I mean, I'm beyond 30 at the moment. I just turned 45, and yeah, and that's and I'm here now and still learning a lot about holistic vision practices, and with in the world of peptides and things. So yeah, that's kind of where I am right now.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. I can only just try to imagine what that's like to be a 9-year-old boy, to get this big label, right? And a fate. This is your fate. And what that would feel like, and what that would have meant for you, and going through that. It sounds really like a lot. It sounds really painful. And I have so much respect and admiration and compassion for you and your journey to take the hard route, right? Of like, I'm going to go and I'm going to work and I'm going to study and I'm going to seek and I'm going to seek more and I'm going to invest and I'm going to do everything I can to learn about this condition and to see if there's other ways to manage or even improve, right? Or optimize, rather than just take the prescription, which is what, we're kind of told to do. We're prescribed to do. And that's kind of like the easy route. It's okay, well, yeah, I'll wear the glasses and then they'll get progressively stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, and I'll have the eye surgery, and then I'll have it again, and then again, and then I'll still have to wear the glasses, and I'll do the eye drops every day, and I'll just that'll just be my fate, or I'll just go blind, and that I'll just accept that. But you didn't accept that, and you know, you went down this amazing path that's just so inspirational. And so I really want to just commend you for the journey that you've been on and for who you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And, you know, to be honest with you, I didn't know any better at the time. So I kind of went through all of that of listening to doctors, and I just hit a point where like nothing was working. So I just, you know, thought there's got to be more than this. And like I said before, just being blessed with this information age that we're in, of hearing other stories through these books that I mentioned before, and there's many other books that had a huge role in my healing journey with trauma. Was you know, trauma is a big part of my life story, just dealing with you know, an abusive household. And so I think there was one part in Lieberman's book that really stood out for me, was when children are stressed or traumatized, there is a narrowing of the vision, like a tunneling of the vision, because it's a stress response. And it really got me thinking that if, you know, there's a lot of information now saying that trauma is inherited through family dynamics, through genetics, you know what? And I know the lineage of my family came from Malta, an island of Malta, which at one point in time was the most bombed country in the world during World War II. It also has a past of, you know, certain people tried to conquer the island, and it was probably a very difficult place to live. So I think genetically that had an imprint in it, and I think that's a big part of it. And if done right, in terms of alleviating ancestral trauma, past trauma, through various different modalities, somatic therapy, you know, psychedelic therapy I've looked into, which has played a huge role in healing as well. And yeah, you know, there's a lot that can be done.
It is so true. And this is something that I see in every single person that I work with. And I've been doing coaching of multiple facets since I was 18 years old. I started as a life coach. I don't know how I got my first clients, but it happened. And what I see continuously, you know, I really thought it was, okay, psychology, it's all just psychology. But then I went down the path of, oh, it must be naturopathy and it must be natural medicine's the way. And then I went down the path of spirituality and metaphysics. And I see that they all have a part to play. But what I have noticed with every single person I've worked with is there's some kind of trauma or conflict that happens that's connected to how the body has manifested symptoms. And this is something I was extremely scrutinized for, people in the discrediting, you know, this whole cancellation I went through, saying, oh, she's saying that you heal spiritually, or it's, you know, it's spiritual why you don't see, or it's, oh, it's, how could it be trauma or stress? But it's proven. It's of course, you know, stress is the root cause of all illness. They say, even in medicine, they say that. And so what is stress? You know, stress is this word, but what is stress? Well, yes, there's a physical stress, but there's the mental stress, there's the emotional, there's the metaphysical, there's the ancestral. We know that through epigenetics, right? We are born carrying the traumas and the conflicts that our parents didn't heal. And so, of course, that's going to have an effect. And if you look at it from the lens of German New Medicine, which has been highly discredited because it's so powerful, they show that children who witness something, they see something very, very painful, oftentimes their brain will say it's not safe to see. And it can create this lack of vision or degeneration of the eyes. And so it's such a potent thing that I urge people to consider. You know, the body doesn't just degenerate for no reason. There are reasons. There are stressors that are happening that are connected to what we're experiencing. So I love that you said that. And you know, you really revealed the holistic spectrum of how we heal. It's looking at nutrition or looking at biohacking. It's looking at the somatic, the mental, emotional, using different tools and technologies and light, reconnecting to earth, using psychedelics. It's this whole beautiful ecosystem. And this is truly the message I want to get out to people, is we have to see that we are an ecosystem. As human beings, you can't just look at one thing or look at from one lens, especially, my perspective, not just the allopathic medical lens that doesn't really look at root causes. We get to go so much deeper. And a question. Oh, go ahead.
No, go on.
I was going to deviate. I was going to say, so yeah, go ahead. I want to hear you first.
I was just going to add a quick quote. I think his name is Nassim Harim. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but he basically says that, if you can't, when something is woo woo or metaphysical, there's basically a physics behind it that we don't yet understand. Like I've been skeptical of certain things. I'm like, how's that possible? Like, medical, when something is really kind of like out there and woo woo, I think there's a basic physics that's behind it that we don't understand. And he kind of, he's a quantum physicist, that guy. Anyway, I find that really, really interesting.
Yeah. And science is so far behind spirituality. It always has been. And so I think now we do have the tools, and science is catching up, and we have this amazing field of holistic medicine or functional medicine, integrative medicine. I just had the opportunity to interview one of the world's leading integrative eye doctors. And even what she's saying, people in the comments, oh, holistic ophthalmology, that's bullshit. Like, so there are going to be people that just want to, be opposed to even science and facts. So, the preconceived conditioning is quite hard to break through sometimes for people.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I think you have to come to a point of believing it is one thing, but there's also like seeing the bigger picture, which is, it really depends on how you're looking at things for somebody to really understand it. I mean, I was there. So if I was to, probably, listen to what I was saying maybe 20 something years ago, I would have thought I was out there. And but now, just because you can't see something doesn't mean it's not there. And that really, like, I often say this too, like, going blind taught me what it really means to see. There's so many things that are just beyond the five senses that our eyes can't pick up that are happening. I mean, this is fact. Certain things of the color spectrum, X-ray, like, how does a radio work? You don't see the radio signal going to the radio, but we just know that it works. I mean, this is my explanation on how these other things are happening that we can't see, that is able to, control things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. Well, I'm curious. So for your vision now, what is that like for you? Do you wear contacts? Are you getting regular surgeries? Like how are you seeing me right now? Like, could you share with us what vision is like for you? And
sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I stopped wearing contacts years ago. I was an avid contact lenses wearer, but through learning this holistic approach, I didn't really want those things in my eyes anymore, due to toxicity, forever chemicals in the lenses. Also, it's sort of like putting a plastic bag on your eyes. The eyes need to breathe and move around. So when I was slowly reducing my prescription, my glasses, I kind of gave up wearing contact lenses. When I was this was about 12 years ago, when I was still on my journey to heal my eyes, I started to develop a cataract. So I did end up getting cataracts in both eyes, which is quite common for people with my condition. I was actually sort of quite young to develop them. I did try a lot of different modalities to reduce the that, and I don't think I had enough time, so I ended up going ahead with the cataract surgery, and I got my lenses replaced, so I can see from a distance. And in certain low light conditions, I do need to wear like readers now and then, which is just a basic magnification. I don't need them all the time. So I don't really wear glasses beyond that. I gave up wearing sunglasses. Excuse me. I have something in my throat. So I stopped wearing sunglasses because I was a big sunglasses wearer, because I was always told, oh, protect your eyes. So I have this massive collection of various different types of glasses, and I wear blue blocking glasses. Sometimes I wear like a lighter frame, if it's very bright, something like this,
Yeah.
Outdoors. But I always catch morning light, directly in the eye, in terms of balancing circadian rhythm, because the AM sunlight signal is very important for the eyes. And right now, as it stands, my central vision is great. So for example, I'm looking at this computer that's in front of me, and I can see the whole, from the distance where I am to the screen, I can see the whole screen. I still have some peripheral issues. I don't know what to call it, but my peripheral vision is not fully expanded at the moment. And but where it is, I can see everything in full. I can see you on the screen.
And would you
But
say, a question for you, would you say that you can see now, maybe someone's going to watch this that thinks you can't heal it and say, oh, well, you can only see because you had a cataract surgery. That's the only reason you can see. Would you say that's true? Or would you say that, what would you say to that?
Well, with my condition, there's the cataract lens, and sorry, the lens cataracts and my condition are two separate issues of the eye. See, the cones are, I always mix this up. There's the cones and the rods that are in the retina, and the cones, if I'm not mistaken, somebody correct me, are responsible for your peripheral side of vision. I think the rods are for central. So what happened with me, with my condition, which is sort of very similar to age molecular degeneration, is that my cones started dying off, and that shrunk my vision. So as it stands now, it's very difficult for them to regenerate. But through the use of various peptides, I have data showing that they have begun to regenerate very slowly, because peptide therapy is very similar to stem cells. They're almost like a precursor to stem cells. And so yeah, there's two different parts to the eyes. So there's central vision and your peripheral. So the cataract situation, which is allowing me to see central vision, has nothing to do with my visual field, my peripheral. So most people that I tell that I'm blind or legally blind, I've often gotten comments, oh, you're not blind because you can see, but vision loss is a spectrum. There's various different types of genetic conditions, like Stargardt's, which is almost the opposite of my condition, where the central vision is gone, so people have to look at you from their peripheral. So it's something I'm still working on. My vision is not, completely fully healed per se, but in terms of what I was diagnosed with, what I was told was going to happen, and where I am now, my eyes are the best they've ever been.
That's so amazing. Oh my gosh, I love hearing that. And I tell this story kind of often when I'm talking about vision and healing, because it's monumental for my family. It was my little brother 2 years ago, right after he turned 30. He's a pro motocross racer, and he was doing this mega jump, and there was somebody else on the jump, and he missed the landing, and so he fell on his head, and his motocross squashed him, and he broke his spine in multiple places, punctured his lungs, smashed in his skull. It fractured. It did something with both eyes. They said he would never live, that he was going to die, and if he lived, he would be a vegetable forever, and he would be completely blind in both eyes, and he'd be a vegetable. And anyways, so he didn't die. He was in a very bad coma, and when he came out of the coma a couple months later, yes, his eyes were completely closed. He could only open one slightly. He was blind in his eyes. But then we were very clear not to listen to the doctors, and we did a whole protocol. However, he regenerated his entire body. So my brother, now he walks, he runs, he just rode his bike like 50 kilometers, and he's completely healed his vision. One eye, the one that they said would never see again, he does use a lens with these, I don't know what it's called, but on one of his glasses, he has these little lines on it that can help him see his peripheral. And they said, even when he was regenerating, that he would never drive again. He would never be able to. And he just got his license. And, my brother is just amazing. He just rebuilt a whole house. He does all this stuff. But now he's actually working with this clinic in the United States on brain retraining to help with the final parts of the eye, and one of his feet that are a little, there's a little issue with it because of his whole spine and legs and everything were broken. So, it's stories like this happened to me. This happened to my baby brother. And to hear, the doctor saying he's going to die, he's going to be a vegetable, he's going to be blind, he's going to lose his life. And then to see him now a fully functional human, it just fuels me to just let everybody know that, the prescribed prognosis that you may receive is not your fate. And you are proof of that. My brother's proof of that. There's so many people that are proof of that. And I think that this is why I had to have you on, and I have to share your story, because people need to hear your story. People need to hear these stories. They need to be inspired and empowered and know that there are other options. And yes, they're not so well known of all the time. When you get sick or something happens, you go to the doctor. But like you said, more and more of these holistic practitioners are popping up kind of everywhere. And it's really, it's just so amazing. It's so amazing. And I'm just so grateful for that.
Yes, it is amazing. And it's you have to really go through this change in belief, and you have to, it's a shame that there's certain doctors that, there's, especially when somebody's younger, if somebody's like wearing this, white lab coat coming from this place of authority to be like, this is your diagnosis, and it just kind of like locks this in place, and you give up your power to heal to this person and saying, well, he said I can't do anything about it, so I'm not even going to bother trying. So it almost locks in this diagnosis of you're stuck this way, don't bother trying, we'll come to you if we find this help. And it's a big problem, and I think it's very harmful for doctors, people of authority in that sense, to give these diagnoses, whether just because they don't know that there's any other different ways to heal. But there's a lot of really interesting books written about it, about spontaneous healing, which there's a great one called Cured. I can't remember the author's name. Rudiger, I think. That's very interesting. It's about the life-changing science of spontaneous healing. And there's another book as well. There's a few of them, and it just shows you this. It basically lends to the quote, you can't get well in the same environment you got sick in. So once you realize what environment is, and you kind of change these aspects of your environment, inner, mental, outer, quantum, etc., the body can heal. And a lot of these things of our environment, they're sort of invisible to us. Like, when we think of a light, we think of it as, on or off, but we don't realize that there's a lot of LED lighting viewed at the wrong time could be very detrimental to your circadian rhythm, which is, people to the likes of, like Dr. Andrew Huberman now are finally on board, talking about the importance of balancing out your circadian rhythm, and that all has to do with light. Yeah. So, I mean, it's from 10 years ago till like now, the conversations have slowly changed into people talking about their traumas, addressing their traumas, doing something about it, seeking therapeutic help, seeking alternative medicines, psychedelic therapies. People are now believing that it's the same thing with the brain can change, the power of neuroplasticity. There's so many things that were finally kind of coming around to what was once thought really woo-woo is now more hitting the mainstream. So we're getting there, and there's always going to be people that are in disbelief and call us crazy and want to cancel us, but they're just living in such a different viewpoint that they can't see what we're seeing, and they have so much cognitive dissonance wrapped around what they're believing that they can't see what we see. And so they just go immediately into saying you're a scam, you're a hoax, and that's fine. I mean, and they're just functioning on another level, and you can't it's hard to change everyone's mind, and if they want to see it, they'll eventually come around. If not, then they'll get left behind.
That's so well said. And the way I see it is the way that our world is progressing and the way that we're moving farther and farther away from nature, the fact that our generation has a shorter life expectancy than our parents, and that's the first time in our history. It looks like we're not actually evolving. Maybe we are technologically, but we're actually devolving when it comes to our biology. And 1 in 3 people have a chronic or degenerative disease already. And who do you know that's a 100% healthy? Almost no one, right? Most people have some kind of issue that's longstanding, and I believe it's going to just continue to progress and to progress as we're going through even more trauma on a collective level continuously. There's so much fear. There's so much disconnection. There's so many toxins bombarding us and stressors bombarding us at all times. And people are going to need, they're going to need holistic medicine. They're going to need to connect to natural foods. They're going to need to connect to these biohacking, biooptimization technologies, and to getting in touch with the emotional, the mental, and the metaphysical aspects of their being, or they are going to get left behind. And I don't see any other way. Yeah, well said with that.
Yeah, it's a shame in some sense, but as an individual, if you were, it's unfortunate that humanity have to learn things the hard way. Or if somebody had a severe diagnosis, that's when they wake up. It's like if no one has that problem, it's like, well, I'm fine and I'm just gonna go about my day and things are fine. So then when somebody who went through this and is explaining it, it just seems absolutely crazy to them. But if they get to that point out of a certain severe diagnoses and out of desperation, that's when people tend to kind of wake up. But it's not for everybody, and we're all having our own unique experience, and the mind and the body are a lot more powerful than you think.
That's the main message that I have for everyone: is you are way more powerful than you were led to believe, and then that you may think. So what would you say for anyone that is looking to improve their vision? Maybe they, wherever on the spectrum they are of vision loss or vision impairment, if somebody is seeing this message and maybe they're new to this, or maybe they've heard about this, like, what would you say to somebody that is looking to be in this optimization space when it comes to vision?
That book, Take Off Your Glasses and See, was a really big starter for me. And I've often said that book should come with every pair of glasses that is prescribed to people. That's a great start. It's called Take Off Your Glasses and See by Dr. Jacob Lieberman. And then what I said before is you don't need your glasses as much as you think you do. And, try not being as dependent on them when you don't need them. Obviously, if you're driving, try to find a holistic optometrist and see what it's like to kind of wean yourself off with a glasses prescription, or have a weaker pair that you can kind of wean off of. Get as much natural light as you can. Change your indoor lighting environment if you can. Protect your eyesight. I mean, these new light bulbs, LEDs, are very harmful because of the unbalanced spectrum, and they can be very damaging to the eyes. So I mean, that's just a great start, and just empower yourself through other people's stories who went through it, like I did with myself, by reading these amazing stories. I've mentioned a couple of books, and I can give you some more titles for your show notes to look into. And it's possible. Believe that you have the power to heal yourself, but just understand what environment really, really means.
Yes, thank you so much. I will get that list of books, and I'm going to name one that really transformed my life in so many ways. And my quick version of my glasses story is, at 18, I went through the most traumatic breakup possible. I had to leave my province. It was really, really toxic. And it spiraled me into a massive depression where I started to drink a lot of alcohol. I was partying a lot. I was doing all of the things that were very self-destructive. I gained about 50 pounds after high school, before university. I just moved to Montreal. It was legal to drink at 18, all these things. But I was so hurt on the inside from what was happened, and a lot of PTSD, I would say. And that's when I realized that I couldn't see so well. And I went and got my eyes tested, and lo and behold, I needed glasses, and I had an astigmatism. And so I thought, okay, well, I look cute in glasses, so let me wear these glasses. And they were so strong that I remember I walked out of the little, store at the mall that I got these glasses, and I went to walk off the sidewalk, and I fell because the sidewalk and the street it was so crazy, and I was having these headaches. But anyways, I wore these glasses on and off for probably 2 years. And not all the time, though, because it made me feel nauseous a little bit, but I did wear them. And then I got the book that was told to me many, many times, the universe sends you signals, called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And I started to realize, oh my gosh, yeah, okay. I was almost 200 pounds at that time. So I'm 6 feet, so I could hold it, but I went up to 200 pounds. I cut off all my hair. I was a totally different person, and I was super dark, super depressed, all these things. And I started to realize, wow, I have a lot of pain, a lot of trauma from childhood, from my parents, from this boyfriend, from this, and I'm drinking, and I was eating all the poutine and McDonald's, and I didn't even eat vegetables until I was 22. I wasn't drinking water. I didn't drink water until my 20s. It was a whole situation, very different to what I am now. And I started to read this book, and I started to quit. I quit alcohol, and I started to eat vegetables, and I started to drink water, and I started to heal. I forgave what had happened. And then I realized, I'm like, what are these things I'm wearing? This is stupid. So I took them off, and I didn't need glasses anymore. When I got my eyes checked, don't need glasses, and so like, that was like just a little story of mine of like, oh, it's kind of obvious, I wasn't taking care of myself. I was so nutrient deficient. I was stressed and depressed and, traumatized. I really did a lot of healing work, and then I could see again. which is kind of why I wanted to teach this too. I'm like, oh, it's obvious.
That's amazing. That's absolutely that's awesome. Congratulations. It's a great thing to wake up and realize, you know, if an optometrist gives you glasses and says, "Oh, you'll get used to them because they're giving you headaches and they hurt your eyes," run the other way. Like you shouldn't get used to them. Like that's your brain's gonna. So that's one thing I wanted to add. But it's 100%, you know, you put yourself in the right environment and your body began to heal. So that's amazing.
That's it. And just,
So,
you know, I had to do this whole YouTube compliance training. And so if you're being prescribed glasses, we're not telling you not to wear glasses. That's not what we're saying, you know, especially if you need them to see and to drive, you know, wear your glasses. But what we are saying is if your prescription is way too strong for you, and that is a major cause of tension and migraines, you probably need to come down to a less intense prescription. And then you can probably even do the work to reverse it from there. So YouTube gods, we're not saying don't listen to your doctors. We're just saying, you know, do your research and yeah, find a holistic optometrist would be such a great, it's good to even know that exists, right? So definitely do the research.
yeah, and I agree with you on that. I think most people are just given the wrong prescription. And I think if given the right prescription, magical things can happen. So yeah. I'm not people often think that I'm you know advocating against the whole optometry industry, which I'm not. You know, I've worn glasses most of my life. But you know, to add to what you said, I think most people are actually given the wrong prescription, and find somebody that can prescribe the right ones for you. If they're hurting your eyes, giving you headaches, wrong prescription.
That's it. Yeah. And, you know, I was labeled the anti-glasses influencer, which is such a lame name. However, I'm not anti anything. I'm pro health. I'm pro, you know, enhancing your vision if you want to and you can. I'm not anti anything. And I don't think there's any shame in utilizing glasses or any tools. In fact, I still have that pair of glasses from when I was 22. And if I have to drive long hours, say I'm driving 8 hours and it's nighttime and I hadn't slept well and I'm super stressed, I'll take those glasses with me in the car. And if I feel that I need them, especially because, you know, the nighttime with the lights flashing, if that brings me comfort, I will put them on, and there's no shame in that, you know? So if you have this as a tool and you need it 5%, 50%, or just you want to use it as a tool, there's no shame in that. So I just want to be really clear with that messaging as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah. So where can people learn more about you? I know you have a documentary that's amazing that I had the pleasure to see that's not fully public. So I want to know, when's that coming out? Where can people learn more about you? How can they connect with you? Give us all the goodies for that.
Right. I'm quite active on my Instagram account. It's Blind Biohacker. I do have a documentary. It is available. There's the TV version. It is available on iTunes. I can give you the link. It is on the iTunes store. It was on Amazon in Canada. I'm not sure if that's changed because there's a lot of like regional geo blocking. I don't know if that's the right word, but so it's a bit hard to find just because it was sold to a network in Canada. So it's a bit tricky to get. But if somebody really wants to see it, just reach out to me and I can make it happen for the full feature length version. Yeah, so once I think next year it will become not public domain, but I'll be allowed to share it on other avenues. So I do have some clips of the documentary on my Instagram as well. And yeah, just reach out to me over Instagram. So that's kind of where I'm available.
Perfect. Awesome. Are there any last thoughts, words, wishes, hopes, dreams, love notes, anything that you want to close this out with?
Just, you know, understand that we have the ability to heal ourselves, and just kind of look within to do so. and there are really good, inspiring people out there, and follow your tribe, and just be kind to one another. It's a stressful world out there, and we don't really know what other people are going through, so just be kind. So that's that's it. Pretty simple.
Wise words. Well, thank you so very much for giving us your time and your energy, for being here, for having this conversation with me, for allowing me to get to know you and hear your story and get to have these chats. It means a lot, and I'm just really grateful.
Thank you for having me, Samantha.
My pleasure. All right. Thank you so much, and we'll see you and hear you all soon. Lots of love.
All right. Thank you.